Star Bowling with the top bowling stars of America. Brought to you by Hi there, everyone, and welcome to Top Star Bowling from the Hoffman Lanes here at Hoffman Estates, Illinois, just outside of Chicago. I'm Jack Buck, and it's my pleasure to introduce to you two of the top stars of bowling who will be competing for a portion of the $40,000 in this Top Star Bowling Series. $1,000 first prize here today, $500 to the loser, along with a very attractive LaSalle wristwatch. And we have a fellow back here on the show who is getting to be a familiar figure. He used to live here in Chicago. Then he moved down to Houston. He may be moving back because things are going that well for him. I don't know what his opponent today will have to say about that because he has a very formidable opponent. But let's meet the fellow who has won the last 2 weeks. He's from Houston, Mr. Don Ellis. Don, how you doing?
Fine, Jack. How are you?
Fine, thank you very much. This is a three-game match, we might explain, in total pins counts, and you have won the last couple of weeks. Who did you beat the first time?
Andy Rogoznica was the first week, and then Bob Chase came along the following week.
You have a fellow with whom you used to bowl, right?
Well, I bowled the national doubles one time with this fellow, but I couldn't get him to spur up and go ahead and carry me during the doubles, so I'm going to
get even with him
here. Even today.
We're talking about the little grandpa from Detroit, Buzz Fazio. Don wanted to help him up here. You don't need that sort of help, do you, Buzz?
I don't believe so, not at this age.
I would like, first of all, to describe Buzz as one of the fine team captains of all time and a fellow who has a master's title tucked away in his memoirs, and you won quite a few doubles titles, but never with Don.
Well, he didn't get enough pins.
I'm saving them for today.
Good luck.
Have you been watching Don in the past couple of weeks here, Buzz?
Yes, I have.
And he's been hitting these lanes rather well.
Yeah, he's stroking real well.
But the conditions are good, and you ought to walk right into them yourself.
I hope so.
Good luck to you in the show.
Thank you, Jack.
You're not acting up very much today.
Well, there's times that you do and times you don't. Wait till I start having something to cheer about.
Buzz, good luck to you in the show today.
Thank you.
And good luck to you, Don.
Thank you.
So there you have them, ladies and gentlemen, Buzz Fazio and Don Ellis. And we're all set to go here on Top Star Bowling. Buzz Fazio won the toss and elected to start on 30, so Don Ellis will be getting us underway. We have no practice balls, no shadow balls, or anything of the sort. This counts, and Don makes one count. It gets some good action from that 6-pin, carries the 10, and gets the strike, and we're underway with the strike. As I recall, in most all of the games so far in the two matches in which Don has participated, he's been able to get off and running with that big X, that strike. And there's no better way to start, of course. Now, let's see if Buzz Fazio can match him. He was really hitting this particular lane in practice. Let's see if he makes it count. There's the handy. They're each 1 for 1, and Buzz will cross over to 29 to see if he can get the first double of the match. You're going to see a lot of action out of this Buzz Fazio, particularly when he gets really involved in this match. There is no greater performer out there, and it's a very sincere thing on his behalf. He's a showman, but he doesn't work at it. On 29, Fazio looking for 2, crosses over, and no double. The 10-pin stays for him. Mr. Whitey Harris, Jerome Whitey Harris, member of the Brunswick advisory staff, is here with us at the table and at the microphone, acting as statistician and interpreter for these matches. He'll give you his expert opinion as we go along, as he'll have the chance for the double when he comes up. Buzz shooting the 10-pin. So he has 20 in the first frame with a spare up. $1,000 for the winner in this match, $500 for the loser. But even more important than that, an opportunity to stay around and meet another opponent next week. Is this a double? No, he's on the head too. If he gets away from the split, leaves a 6-10, and it looks like he was following the pattern set by Buzz Fazio. So it appears that there's going to be a 1-pin difference after the first 2 frames, and it's peculiar how in a 3-game match things change. They're up, they're down. One fella be out in front by 50 pins, and the next thing you know, it's even. The former leader is down. Now let's see. These things, like that 610, are not as easy as they would seem to be. I remember a big tournament, Dick Hoover chopped that 6 off the 10. That was a couple of years ago. And you would think that Dick could do something of that sort, cover that 610 with his eyes closed, but the very best of them missed. Concentration, one of the big items in bowling. And right, much too thin on that one to carry, leaves a 2-4-5. So Don, who has won twice, bowling here on the same pair, is having his difficulties here in the early going with regard to putting those strikes together. And the 2-4-5 is covered, and Mr. Buzz Fazio will come back. Buzz has done something that may interest a lot of you bowlers with regard to the bowling shoes that he wears. He has raised the heels of both shoes to help keep his weight forward, and didn't help in this particular instance as he leaves the 2-5. So each started with a strike, and each has had their difficulties in the ensuing frames, but he have a long way to go. Whitey, they both seem to be trying to feel these lanes out right at this point.
Yes, you usually can note this earlier in the match like this, Jack. Although in practice they have been going at full steam, but same story of any competition like this. They're feeling each other out, too, I imagine.
So no opens so far, no misses. We have a strike and 2 spares for each, and the difference is only 1 pin at this point in favor of Buzz Fazio. Sure, you can see this in a football field or a baseball diamond. In practice, they'll be hitting the mark with those passes or making fantastic catches, but once that gun sounds, why, things are a little bit different. And particularly with all this money involved, let's see if Buzz is in there. And I knew he wanted that one and probably thought he did have it. Leaves a 7-pin, indicating that it was high, but we couldn't see it as such from our particular angle. We have a nice crowd on hand here at the Hoffman Lanes, Hoffman Estates. About a half hour from downtown Chicago. Very beautiful house. Some fine bowling enthusiasts here rooting. There goes the 7-pin. A few fans were holding their breath. Buzz gives a little slap in the hands to sort of lead the applause for himself. Don Ellis is working on a spare. He got that one pretty far outside. That's much the same hit as he had previously on 30. Leaves the 1-2-4-10 as a result, and he's going to have to cross over to cover it. Previously, he left the 6-10 on 30. Now he comes back with the 1-2-4-10. He has 53 through the 3rd frame. Buzz is 4 pins up at this point. Don has to be on the Brooklyn side to get this one. And he gets it very nicely. Covers it very nicely. You can throw a good ball and still miss that one. And when you miss and when you open and against the sort of foe that you're going to encounter in such matches as these with great names like Dick Hoover, Don Carter, Carl Richards, Bill Pace, Bill Tucker coming along, an open means an awful lot on the wrong side of the ledger. Who's going to get that next strike? They each started with 1, and there's one. That 6-pin just clipped the top of that 10-pin. It almost jumped over it, but just did clip the top of it, and that's the 2nd strike of the match for Don Ellis. That gives Don 73 through the 4th with a strike up. Buzz is working on a spare. This is the lane he was really hitting in practice and chose to start on. It gets tapped, 6-pin wrapped around, so he didn't match the strike that Don threw at him. That gives Buzz 76 through the 4th frame. 3-pin difference.
They seem to be now adjusting themselves to the speed, Jack, that I think that is important right now. I noticed that Buzz on that particular shot increased his speed.
Whoop. Almost lost his balance there at the foul line. But he covers that 10-pin. There's a spare, and so Don Ellis has 73 through the 4th with a strike up. And Buzz has 76 through the 4th with a spare up at the end of 5. Working on the spare. On 29, Buzz Fazio could hear that thumb pop. You could see him drop. You could really hear that thumb pop up here, Whitey.
You know, Buzz left that 7-pin on that other pitch on that lane. He'd had a turkey right here now with that 10-pin he just left on 30.
Here's Don Ellis. He's trying to get the double. First double at the match, and there's a beautiful ball. That one was really buried in there, Whitey. That was perhaps the best strike of the match.
Yes, it has been, Jim. You know what?
What?
Looks like this Mr. Ellis, he lays back, and then all of a sudden, this happened in the last 2 weeks.
He's had some good scores, however. He bowled 620 the first week, came back with a 652. You're going to have to bowl some to beat him, no matter who you are. He's looking for a turkey right here, looking for that 3-bagger, and no 10-pin. No 10-pin. You could almost tell from the way he strolled away from that foul line that he knew he wasn't going to carry that 10-pin. But that gives Don. Well, we'll have to wait and see what he throws right here, but in any event, he has taken the lead with the double. Shooting the 10-pin and covering it very nicely. We've had no opens in the match. We've had one double, and that's been the difference in the match. Buzz has a chance to get his first double right here. He's had 2 strikes. Don Ellis has had 3. And I think this is the reason why. There it is. You could tell the way he laid that ball down there and got it out there that he was going to match that double that Don Ellis threw at him. And so he has taken care of the pin differential and has a chance to go ahead if he can ram another one home here as he bowls in the 8th frame.
Buzz was doing something there, Jim, which these pros check constantly. If you'll notice, he was pushing his left foot on the approach, getting some of the probably dust off of his shoe.
Is he there? Look at that 10-pin rocker. Well, Don Ellis had the same problem. He was looking for a turkey. Now Buzz a little exasperated. Don was looking for a turkey, and he left a 10-pin. Buzz could have a pretty good string of them right here. Left a 7-pin in the 4th frame, left a 10-pin in the 5th frame, and here another 10-pin in the 8th. He very well could have 5 in a row. Covering the 10-pin, and he has a spare, and the difference in the match right at the moment is about 3 pins in favor of Buzz Fazio. Don Ellis trying to get on a strike again. Oh, down goes the 7. The 8-pin stays. He left that 7-8 last week and had to cover it, and did. Shooting the 8-pin now. Don has 141 through the 7th frame. He's 4 pins down to Buzz Fazio. Trying to match his spare in this frame, and there it is. Folks down in Houston, Texas, of course, are watching Don Ellis. Everything he does wrong, I'm sure, well, they'll remind him of when he shows up at the bowling lanes, of which he is a part down home. Now, the extremely important 9th frame, trying to get one to work. There it is. So Don will sit down knowing that when he comes up in the roll-off, he'll have a strike to work on, and Buzz Fazio, trying to hang on to his 4-pin lead, will try to match him. Don Ellis at this point has a possible 221 game. There's Buzz. Maybe it's about 8, and leaves a 6-10. So this match, it appears, is going to end rather close to even. There's only a 2-pin difference right now in favor of Buzz Fazio. And he'll be trying for a spare here in the 9th frame, and Don Ellis already has his strike. .610. Hey. Thought for a while it wasn't going to come up for him, and you can tell from the look on Buzz's face that he didn't think so either for a moment.
On that particular shot, Jack, why the ball has a tendency, because it's going cross lanes, to fade to the right.
You have to make sure you get that ball out there and plenty of lift to it. 213, if Buzz can go all the way, you have to get the first one. Down the nose, leaves a 610 again. So it looks like Don is going to be the leader when this first one is over, depending, of course, what he does in his last frame. possible we could end in a tie with 201 for each. There's a spare, and he covered this one a little more heavily than he had previously. And now he needs 10 pins for 201. So far in the series, Andy Rogoznica with a 234 pulled a high single game. And there's an 8 count, and Buzz does a double take on that one, leaving the 4-9, and figures that's a good place for that one. And he doesn't want to see that one again for the rest of the day. And so for Buzz Fazio in the first game, 199. Possible 221 for Don Ellis. If he can go all the way, he has a strike up. Seemed to go up there a bit more slowly, and it paid off for him. Do you think he changed his approach speed, Whitey?
Yes, definitely on that, Jack, because when he hit the foul line, sliding like he does, he was able to give the ball a good lift.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's watch him this time, see what he does. He has 2 in a row. He went up there slowly again. He's changed, to be sure, but he threw that one out like he had thrown a couple of others on 30.
You give that one a lot of room, that's for sure.
So it's one thing to change speeds, Whitey, and it's another thing to throw properly at the same time.
That's correct.
Now, this will give Don a, 201. We can cover both of these. 211. I'm going to change it again.
No. Jack, that was my fault. It's 209.
209, and a 10-pin lead for Don at the end of the first game. So in the first game, it's Don Ellis 209, Buzz Fazio 199. We'll meet one of the bowlers when we come back in just a moment. We're here with Buzz Fazio prior to the start of the second game of the match. And Buzz, Don has a 10-pin lead on you at this point.
That's right.
What about the 2 10-pins and the 7-pin that you left?
Well, I believe I threw the ball as well as I'd like to, and I hit my mark, and think I'll try and stay there. I'll be hard-hitted and see what happens from
So
there.
you're not going to change anything. You just want to carry
I doubt
what
it very much.
Just get what you deserve, huh?
The only change I want is that ball start carrying 10 pins instead of just 9.
Okay, fine, Buzz. Good luck to you as we continue along.
Thank you.
It's 209 for Don Ellis at this point, and it is 199 for Buzz Fazio on the second game coming up here on Top Star Bowling. Well, Buzz said he wasn't going to do anything differently here. Let's see what he does on 29. He's the leadoff man. And there goes the 10 pins that he wanted 10 pins instead of 9, and there he goes. Now Don Ellis. I don't imagine he'll be trying to change anything, although it did seem he was trying to adjust his speed going up there. Let's see if he can match the strike. He did. So we have 2 top stars of bowling in here this week. They are vying for the right to meet Dick Hoover, another of the top star bowlers. He'll be coming in here to the Hoffman Lanes next week to take on the winner. If it's Don Ellis, that'll be the 4th show in a row for Don. If it's Buzz Fazio, means Buzz will have won this week. Let's see if that's a double for Ellis. Oh, maybe things are going to change where Buzz is going to get the 10 pins and Don's going to start getting those taps. .209 in the first game for Don Ellis. He had 5 strikes. Buzz Fazio had a total of 3 strikes for 199. Don covered that 10-pin nicely. As we indicated when we have watched Don Ellis before, he is one of the very, very smooth bowlers in the game today. Seems to have the fluid grace going up to the foul line. Buzz a little more choppy in his approach, but what he does counts 4-7, a bit high. He grimaces. So no double for either bowler here at the start of the second game. Buzz is getting a little bit worked up now.
took that free swing there, practice shot.
4-7. On the go. Buzz starting to give us a little action up there. If he starts the string going here, why, he'll be running him out, going from one lane to the other. Buzz has quite a few folks here rooting for him. And there it is. It's a peculiar thing that of the two lanes, he preferred 30. He had won the toss at the outset here and won to start over there, but here in this game, he's had 2 strikes, both of them on 29. Here's Don Ellis working on a spare, needing a strike to match his opponent. Whitey, Don has been out there quite often today.
Yes, if you remember when we were talking to him in the locker room, Jack, he said something that when the previous weeks he was playing the lanes inside it at the second rangefinder. And so far, every pitch has been outside. It's been one board to the right of that rangefinder. From our position here, we can see that.
And he's had a lot of thin hits as a result. Trying to cover the 2-5 right here. He rocks that 5-pin and leaves it. And we're rocking the boat. The 5-pin, that gives us our first open of the match so far. And there goes the 10-pin lead that he had at the start of this game. Down on 29. He threw that one out the window, too. 1, 2, 4, 7 remains. The rail. Don has 47 through the third frame. And looking for a spare here. The next ball that Buzz Fazio throws is going to be extremely important. Could set the tone for the match if he can double. Don covered that one. I tell you, that 2-5 can be rather treacherous. Don's not the first one to ever miss that one. In the 2 previous weeks, Don Ellis, bowling a total of 6 games, had only one of those games under 200, and that was 196. His high game so far, 231. Buzz bearing down right here, looking for that double. Could change the complexion of the match, which has been quite even up to now. Is he there? Running around up here now. Now we're watching Lee Buzz Fazio. There's his double. Adding to his lead over Don Ellis. We've had no turkeys so far. And a 4-pin. Well, Don Ellis could hardly have afforded that one. Buzz really wanted it. $89, $67, be about 22, maybe about a 12-pin difference when we get through the completion of this 4th frame. There's the 4th pin. Well, Buzz did himself some good on that trip up there on the approach. There's Don Ellis working on a spare.
I think Buzz told you between the games that he was going to hold the same line, and he sure is.
I'll tell you, Don Ellis is holding the same line, and it's not doing the job for him right at this point.
Yeah, I think he's reached a point like a lot of the bowlers, Jack. Now he's a little mixed up. One ball is faster, or he's letting up on his speed, and this is the problem that happens to these pros.
Mm-hmm. Well, he'll find himself before we go much longer. We're here in the 5th frame of the 2nd game. Don shooting at the 2-4-5 right now. And the 2-5 is the one that bothered him before, and he covers the 2-4-5 now. Working on a spare. And he was on that head pin, but he leaves the 4-7. Avoided the split, which could have been disastrous. That gives him 82 through the 5th frame. Down shooting the 4-7, and he covers. Now gives Don 82 through the 5th frame with a spare up, and Buzz Fazio has 89 through the 4th frame with a spare up in the 5th. Buzz Fazio with a 15-pin lead, working on a straight. They're getting the strike and running almost out of sight. Really running it out off to the left. Gives him 109 through the 5th with the strike.
Interesting to note, Jack, that both Don and Buzz are using the crown jewel ball.
Very attractive bowling ball. Really does the job. And the 4-7-10 is going to tend to make this match even, and Buzz is really mumbling to himself as he turns around and comes back. I don't know what he's saying. I don't think I'd like to know. 4-7-10. Well, it's been made.
This, as you so often have heard in your previous broadcasts, is the game of inches also.
Is he going to cover? Ooh, he came very, very close to picking that one. And so, Buzz Fazio, through 7 frames with an open, has 135. Don Ellis has 82 through the 5th with a spare up. Each man has had one open so far. Buzz with that split. Don Ellis had a miss in the 3rd frame of this game. This is the lane that has given him trouble. Let's see what he does. He might be there this time, but no 10-pin, boy. That's the way it goes. He's been outside on that particular lane all day. And suddenly he gets in the pocket, but doesn't carry the 10-pin. He was working on a spare that gives him 101 through the 6th frame. And the difference in the match right at this point is some 4 pins. Don Ellis went into this match, into this particular game of the match, with a 10-pin lead. I thought he had a bad angle going home on that 10-pin for a while, but he covers. It's 15-pin lead actually now through the 7 frames. Don had a 209 in the first game, Buzz a 199. They're going at about the same rate here. Don working on the spare, and no 10-pin again. That's the 3rd 10-pin that he has left in this particular game. He's had only 1 strike in this game. Buzz has had 4, along with 1 double, which helped him to erase the 10-pin deficit and take the lead, which he now has. We're in the 8th frame. Don Ellis shooting another 10-pin. And spares in the 8th.
You'll notice both these bowlers are 5-step bowlers. Take 5 steps to the foul line. Both of them start off with a foot.
Buzz Fazio bowling here in the 8th frame. And no 10-pin for Buzz. He was about as far out as Don Ellis has been on that particular lane, but he got up, whereas Don has been unable to, but it didn't do him any good either. There's a 15-pin difference in this game, hence a 5-pin difference in the match in favor of Buzz Fazio, who gets the 10-pin and gets his spare in the 8th frame. Here on these beautifully conditioned Brunswick lanes at the Hoffman Lanes in Hoffman Estates. This is a 32-lane house, by the way. Here's Buzz in the 9th frame looking for one to work on. He crosses over, almost got the Brooklyn, leaves the 3-pin. So neither man has been able to strike with any consistency here.
It's the same old story, Jack, when you're shooting for, say, $1,000 in 3 games, and you got to make your move in a hurry, actually. There's no sitting back. And that's what's happening.
There goes the 3-pin. Oh, it's a lot different than taking the family out on a Sunday evening to Brunswick house and have fun with Mom and Dad and the youngsters all bowling. The pressure just isn't there. But it's here. And here's Ellis in the 9th frame. A strike would be a big one, particularly on that lane, and he got it. Now he can go over to the one that doesn't bother him quite so much here in the roll-off and see if he can't strike out for an even 200. He had 209 in the first game. It's a little danger signal for Buzz Fazio right there, whose lead has now dwindled to 4 pins in the overall. No Brooklyn. They both crossed over there. So the 610 remained to look at Don Ellis.
Jack, the reason for the crossover on that left lane, they're playing what is called the inside of the lane. As a result, they're pulling the ball across rather than the ball rolling over there.
So if they're playing the inside and they don't get that ball out there enough with the proper speed, it will cross over on them. There's the 6-pin. That gives Don 160 through the ninth and 180 coming up with a 10 count if he can hit it. 204 possibility for Buzz Fazio. And a 24-pin victory here. Looks 10, 14 pins. There go the 10 for Ellis. And 180. So it's 389 in the 2 games so far for Don Ellis. All Buzz has to do is hit one right here, and he'll go into the 3rd game with a lead. It's a 4-pin difference right at the moment. Let's see what Buzz does here in his 10th frame. He got that one out, got it up, and rocked the 10-pin again. Well, he had quite a few 10-pins in the first game that he left. In fact, he left 2 of them, but the 610 a few times. There's no real pattern as to what these two bowlers have been doing on the 2 lanes, Whitey.
No, there isn't. For a while there, it looked like Buzz really had it the way he was hitting the pocket.
There goes the 10-pin for Buzz in his spare in the 10th frame, and a 193 with a 10 count.
We're looking at a few pins difference here.
It'll be about 3 pins difference, actually, if Buzz can get the 10 pins right here. And there go the 10, giving Buzz 193 and a total of 392 and a 3-pin lead for Buzz Fazio. And you can get all set because we're going to come back in just a moment with the 3rd and final game here on Top Star Bowling. We're here now with Don Ellis, who started the last game with a 10-pin lead, but as we talk to him now, he's 3 pins down. And Don, that chop in the 3rd frame is the thing that really killed you.
Well, that didn't help, and then I wasn't throwing the ball good enough to carry the 10 out when I was hitting the pocket, which also kind of knocks it down. Doesn't give you a chance to pick up the opens.
You've been having a little difficulty over here on 30.
Well, I thought I was having difficulty on both of them. Really?
What are you going to do when this 3rd game starts? You going to do anything differently?
I'm going to try to change a little, maybe move outside a little, see if that works. If that doesn't work, then I'll have to, I don't know what.
How many frames are you going to give it to see if it works?
I haven't got many to work with, so probably a couple of 3.
Okay, Don, it'll be very interesting to watch the adjustment. Good luck to you in the 3rd game.
Thank you, Jack.
And to you too, Buzz. And we're all set for the 3rd and final game here on Top Star Bowling. $392 for Buzz Fazio, $389 for Don Ellis. The scores of careers are not going to be too high, but the excitement might be quite high. And there's a 10-pin to start it here in the 1st frame of the last game for Don Ellis. Don had only 3 strikes in the 2nd game after having 5 in the 1st, a total of 8. And Buzz Fazio's also had a total of 8. But he reversed it, 3 in the 1st game and 5 in the 2nd. So the number of strikes is... the few number of strikes is the big item in the match that we have going here today on Top Star Bowling. There's his spare.
I think so also, Jack, that despite what they've bowled the other 2 games, that it gets right down to the last game, so they're shooting for $1,000.
Right, $1,000 for the winner, $500 for the loser, plus an attractive LaSalle wristwatch, which we'll have the pleasure of awarding when this is over. There it is. Fortune was a little bit late in falling, but Buzz got that good action, and he gets his strike. He started with a 3-pin lead. You could see that 4-pin looking for just a moment, but then the score king fell over, and Bud had to strike to get off and running here in the third game, looking for a double now. Nope. Yeah. Oh, no. I thought for a while he wasn't going to get there. Then he did get there, and the ball gave him a lot of action, but the 7-pin had a few things thrown at it. He refused to fall down.
He certainly has an interesting conversation with himself when he walks back after a hit like that.
Well, a microphone around his chest and come up with a recording. It'd be a dandy. There's the 7. There's his spare. So it's a strike and a spare, and 20 in the first frame, of course. Don Ellis spared in the first frame. He's down by 3 pins. There it is. So the pin differential remains the same. And Don has a chance to take the lead right here if he can double. Buzz Fazio's wife is here from Detroit. She's been rooting for Buzz for quite a few years in this game of bowling.
Jack, and she really roots for him. It's one of the wonderful things of our particular pastime.
No double for Don Ellis as he leaves the 4-7.
She roots so hard that she's not afraid to tell you that she hopes opponent misses.
Well, at least she's honest about it, because all the others, I think the same thing, but won't say it. Here's Don looking for his spare here in the third frame. Third and final game. There it is. Dick Hoover will be the opponent for the winner. Dick Hoover will be on hand here at the Hoffman Lanes next week. Buzz Fazio is working on a spare as he bowls in the third frame. He was out there. He came up there. He got the start. Neither one of these bowlers, in particular Buzz, he's not afraid to stay outside with that ball. He hasn't changed much since the start of the action here today, Whitey.
No, and at this particular time, Jack, of course you always second guess or something, how a match is to come. Buzz is probably rolling the best because if you'll notice his last 3 hits were the same type hit just as you described it. The ball was a little outside.
Now where is he? In the pocket, running it out, off to the right for the double, the first double of this game. Only the double we've had today, and he increases his lead, which was 3 pins. And we can project it to about a 13-pin lead right at this point as a result of that double. Depending, of course, on what Don Ellis does right here. He stayed right with it. You got to have a little fortitude in this game. As Don, he said he was going to change, but he only tried it for a couple of frames, I think. Why he went right back to where he was. Is that a goose double? Beautiful. How beautiful it is. Giving him a double, and now they're getting hot when it really counts. It's about a 10 difference right now in favor of Buzz Fazio, who's looking for his 3rd strike in a row. A little high, the 10-pin goal form, the 4-7 remains. That's going to give Don Ellis a chance to just about even up this match if he can hit when he comes up in the 6th. Buzz Fazio will be looking for the spare here in the 5th frame. Buzz has a habit of cracking those hands together. So his string of strikes is broken. The marks continue. Draw here through the 5th frame. Don Ellis has 60 through the 3rd with the double working for him. Buzz Fazio has the spare up, and this match is about even at this point. Buzz Fazio off and running with a strike. Giving Buzz 107 through the 5th frame with a strike up. Here's Don Ellis. This is a real big ball. Ellis gets his third one. Boy, that 8-pin toppled off the back in just at the last instant. Down has 90. Let's consider it 60 through the third with 3 in a row. Looking for 4. Getting hot, getting 4. He wants to stick around and be here next week. That's 4 in a row for Don Ellis, and Buzz Fazio, who is working on a strike, is going to have to put a few together himself because suddenly he's down now, and Don Ellis has regained the lead with a 9-pin advantage. Here's Fazio with 108 through the 5th frame. A strike up. But here for the double. He's way out. He never will come up, and he didn't come up. A very, very bad lead for him. The 1, 2, 4, 8, 10. Very, very difficult to cover, Whitey.
Yes, and it's leaning here why that pin finder showed us how the setup of that pin and back. This almost compares with the pick that was made before. Who made that before? Oh, Don made the 1, 2.
See what Buzz can do. Now, leaves that 10 for him. That's his second open of the match. His first one in this game. And that, in view of the 4-bagger that Ellis has riding for him, puts Don in good shape. Now Buzz is bowling in the 8th frame. On the red pin, 6-10 remains. So Buzz has had 4 strikes in this game. Don has had 5, but Ellis has been able to put them together, and that has spelled the difference. Buzz shooting the 6-10. And he covers. Giving him 136 through the 7th frame with a spare up. About a 30-pin advantage for Don Ellis right at this point, and a chance to further increase it if he can make it 5 in a row. And he does. That's 5 of them for him. Boy, he got hot right at the right time here.
This fellow wants to stay on top of that hill. He's the king, that's for sure, the way he's placed in these strikes, Jack.
He's in the 9th frame now. Don Ellis had a 10-pin lead at the end of the first game. Buzz Fazio a 3-pin lead at the end of the second game. But Ellis has regained the lead. It's about 40 pins ahead right now. And there's the number. Boy, he's really hot. It's 6 in a row for Don Ellis through the 9th frame. Does Fazio have a chance?
We'll know in the next 3 pitches.
Buzz out, count, man carrying.
Little Tiger isn't giving up.
It'll be 270 by the way for Don Ellis if he can go all the way. $216 for Buzz Fazio if he can go all the way. Buzz is in the roll-off now. In the 10th frame. And he's not going to put much pressure on Don Ellis as he leaves the 4-7. 176 if he covers it. And a 196 potential. That would be 588. Well, let's wait and see what he does right here. He gets the spare. And a 10 count would give him 196 for 588. Don's going to be way up there in the 200s. In the previous 2 weeks, Don's high series was 652 with a 231 high game. There's a 9 count for Buzz Fazio, 195, 587 for Buzz. here's Don Ellis.
I think, Jack, say that Don has this one Christmas wrapped.
And he's got 6 in a row. The question is now, how many is he going to string together? How high a game will he have? Runs the head pin, gets him off the string of strikes. Giving him 208 through the 8th frame. 220 or 248, Whitey. This will be his high so far in the games.
Yeah, that knocks out the previous high when Andy Rogoznikas had a 234 first show.
Don shooting for the spare right here, the 610. And he covers, giving him 228 through the 9th frame. And a 10 count would give him 248 and a series of 637 if he can hit. And with the 180 game thrown in there, that's quite a total and quite a comeback and quite a performance by Don Ellis.
I think the beautiful part of this, Jack, is the way he came in there, and those were really strikes he hit.
Oh, yeah.
He blasted them.
It'll be interesting to learn from Don what he did, if anything, and what he thinks about it. An 8 count in the final delivery, giving him 246, giving him 635, and a victory over Buzz Fazio by 48 pins. The final totals, Don Ellis 635, Buzz Fazio 587. Right here, a message, then we'll be coming back to award the prizes and meet the bowlers once again. 635 for Don Ellis here on Top Star Bowling this week, and 587 for Buzz Fazio. A lot of action in doubt right down until about the middle of the final game. We want to call out both men right now and present the prizes to them. I want to call out, first of all, Buzz Fazio. Very gallant performer. Buzz? I know you're not very happy with the way things turned out, Buzz.
Oh, well, it's all in the game, Jack. There's days you carry and days you don't. I lost a lot of key hits. That's all the difference was.
How about in the 7th frame of the last game when you were looking for the double and didn't get up to that head pin and left that mess down there?
Ball sailed a little bit. I thought it was going to start to really move, but something happened. Scooted.
You've cashed in your share of them, Buzz, but as you say, there's some days you carry and some you don't. That's a pretty good way to summarize.
That's right.
And your opponent got hot. We can't overlook that.
Well, he really deserved that 6 strikes in a row there because he labeled them real good.
What do you mean labeled them?
Well, he hit them right solid.
You couldn't argue with them, huh?
No.
Buzz, we have a very attractive LaSalle wristwatch for you. We wish that you would accept.
Thank you.
And in addition, a check for $500 here on Top Star Bowling.
Many thanks. Every little bit counts.
And you've got a lot of little bits that have counted over the years. When did you start bowling professionally, Buzz?
Actually, when I moved to Detroit, and I took Joe Norris's place when he came over here and they run him out at Detroit, and he came to Chicago.
Buzz, we always enjoy watching you bowl, no matter how well or how poorly you bowl, but today was very enjoyable and very nice to have had you with us in Top Star Bowling.
Well, I'm sure glad you enjoyed it.
Buzz Fazio, ladies and gentlemen. And now the winner for the 3rd week in a row, and a fellow who's going to be back next week to take on Dick Hoover. Our winner today, Don Ellis. Don, there you go. I do believe we're going to supply the whole state of Texas with wristwatches.
I'd sure like to try to do that anyhow.
Very fine ones at that, LaSalle wristwatches, and congratulations to you on the victory.
Thank you very much, Jack. Like you say, when you beat boys, you have to beat one of the roughest.
Amen. Now, when we heard you up here before, prior to the start of the 3rd game, you said you were going to adjust. What did you do?
I moved outside, or more to the right-hand side of the lane, and tried to straighten the ball out and throw more directly to the pocket. Take a little of the hook out of the ball that I didn't have, incidentally. The ball wasn't finished enough, so I decided to move over and take advantage of that.
And you stayed there?
Right. Incidentally, since I've started using this new Brunswick Crown Jewel, I've had very good luck. I can move around. The ball seems to roll better for me. Seems to get better carrying power than I used to have.
You know, there used to be a fallacy about a ball. If it wasn't a black ball, it wouldn't grip the surface of the lanes. That's pretty well disappeared, hasn't it, that fallacy?
Yes, I think that was just like you say, a fallacy. It really wasn't the true thing.
You see, in fact, you see all colors in bowling balls now.
You're seeing more of the star bowlers using different colored balls nowadays.
And more of the Crown Jewel, I've noticed.
I believe so. Fellows are finding out it gives them a little better carrying power.
Listen, how many could you buy with this $1,000?
I could buy a couple.
Listen, I guess that takes care of it. I was going to ask you something about the ball that you threw in the fingertip grip and so forth, but we're going to have another week with you, Don.
So like
You and I are going to get together and rehearse a few more lines for our forthcoming interviews.
I hope it gets to be a habit.
Dick Hoover is going to be your opponent.
Oh, my. They don't get any easier coming down the line.
No, they do not. Congratulations to you.
Thank you very much, Doug. See you next week.
Right. Don Ellis, our winner. And once again, very best to Buzz Fazio. Now, don't forget to be with us next week when Top Star Bowling will again present Don Ellis, and his opponent will be from Akron, Ohio, Mr. Dick Hoover. I'm certain you'll enjoy it, so please tune in. Jack Buck now says thanks for your time this time. Till next time, so long. Top Star Bowling has been presented by LaSalle, the Precision Jeweled Watch. Bowling Equipment Bar, Brunswick, the #1 name in bowling. Top Star Bowling is sanctioned by the American Bowling Congress.